On the Friday episode of General Hospital, Sidwell's ties to Faison deepened. Emma requested a truce with Britt. Carly continued her revenge plan against Brennan, and Sonny and Jason decided how to handle the threat of Sidwell. Brennan requested a meeting with Laura, and she assumed it was to advocate for Charlotte to have more visits with Valentine. If Charlotte had more frequent access to Valentine, Brennan could interrogate him more often. However, he confirmed he only wanted her there in her official capacity as mayor of Port Charles. He revealed to her that Anna was gone, and she was recalled by the WSB for a classified assignment. Brennan didn't have any additional information for Laura, and Anna was unreachable, so there was nothing he could do. Laura didn't buy any of it, and Brennan said it was possible that Anna would never return home. Laura cut through the cloud of secrecy that Brennan masked the situation in and told him she wanted to know what he wasn't telling her. He promised to let her know when he had something to report, and he offered the WSB's assistance in protecting Port Charles. He explained that national security concerns outweighed the needs of local government, but she warned him not to make Charlotte's life more complicated. Laura didn't want Charlotte's emotions for her father to be used as a bargaining chip. Lulu met up with Charlotte at Bobby's, and she claimed to have some news about Valentine. The idea of Valentine being transferred to a prison closer to home had been broached, and this would make Charlotte's father more easily accessible for visits. Charlotte was smart enough to realize that it was more about Brennan's level of access than hers. The idea worried Lulu, though, because it could put more of a target on Charlotte's back. Lulu worried that all of Valentine's enemies would emerge to use Charlotte as leverage if Valentine was closer. Charlotte reversed it against her mother, and she asked how Lulu would feel if it were Luke in prison and not Valentine. Charlotte said Valentine always put her first, and she knew if it were too dangerous, he wouldn't allow her to visit. Charlotte also knew the value she and Valentine had to the WSB, so protection wouldn't be an issue. Lulu wasn't concerned with the present danger, but she worried more about the day the WSB would no longer need Valentine. Emma obtained the master key to Dalton's lab, but now she needed the key fob. Britt was the only person with current access, and she was Emma's ticket to exposing him. Emma offered to buy Britt's coffee drink as an alleged peace offering between the two. Britt threw in the most expensive muffin at Bobby's as a way to stick it to Emma, but she questioned Emma's sudden about-face. Emma apologized for how she had treated Britt, and especially for her unprofessional behavior in front of Dalton. However, Britt explained to Emma that not only would they not work together at all, but she would also never get anywhere near Dalton's lab. Britt received a phone call, which nearly caused enough of a distraction for Emma to swipe the key fob. She was unsuccessful, and although Britt appreciated the apology, the lab was off-limits. Emma inquired why, but Britt took off. Laura showed up shortly after to ask Emma if she'd heard from Anna, but unfortunately for Laura, she hadn't. Lauren turned her attention to Lulu and Charlotte, who were still at Bobby's, and Lulu expected Charlotte to spend more time with her father. Laura felt that Brennan presented a clear danger to everyone, and she worried that her competitor in the mayoral race knew Anna was missing. It could impact the race. Lucas was thrown by Marco's offer to move in together, even though he already saw it coming. Marco knew it was a major step in their relationship, but he at least wanted to have the conversation. Lucas was ready for the conversation, although it wasn't the best time with Jocelyn there. Jocelyn took off after Marco arrived, and Lucas explained that Ava had asked him to leave, so his timing was perfect. Sadly for Marco, Lucas didn't think moving in together was the right course of action. Marco thought they had what it took as a couple to go the distance, but the situation echoed too much of Lucas's past with Brad for Lucas to dive in. Marco thought Lucas searched for excuses not to move in together, but Natalia's death showed him to come closer to the ones you care about. Marco explained, "I love you, and I want to be around you all the time." Ultimately, Lucas agreed to move in with Marco and give it a shot. Carly returned to Switzerland for another visit with Valentine in prison, but she told him that if things went according to plan, it would be her last visit to him. Valentine made a snarky remark about Carly as a mother, but she fired back immediately, pointing out that her kids never visited her at an international maximum security prison. Brennan trusted Carly, but Valentine needed her to be on high alert. Nobody was better at uncovering secrets than him, so she needed to be flawless with her plan's execution. Brennan would retaliate mercilessly, and everyone Carly knew and loved could end up in danger. Valentine thought going after Jocelyn would hurt Carly the most, so if he realized Carly was working against him, she'd be dealt with accordingly. Sonny and Jason discussed a new plan of action regarding Sidwell, which involved permanently taking him out. Sonny no longer used the piers for illegal purposes, but they couldn't risk them falling into the hands of someone as enigmatic as Sidwell. Unfortunately for Sonny, Jason, and Brick, they have been unable to uncover any nefarious purposes that Sidwell had for them. Jason was concerned that if Laura lost the election, it would be too late, so taking out Sidwell was the only option. Sonny was afraid that making a move on Sidwell would give Turner what she needed for an arrest and conviction. Sonny also revealed that although Turner watched them, the WSB also had an eye on Sidwell. They'd ignite a fight on both local and national levels. He also believed that Lucas was a wild card that could end up a thorn in their side because of his connection to Marco. Sonny determined that taking out Sidwell wasn't a risk he was willing to take. Ava pitched art ideas to Sidwell, but he had other things to discuss. He wanted her input on Sonny. She didn't want to disappoint him, but discussing her daughter's father wasn't something she was prepared to do. Ava wanted to distance herself from Sonny as much as possible, and although he previously wanted to murder her, they were in a better place. Things aren't great, but there is a flimsy peace agreement. However, Sidwell wanted to achieve the same. He wanted Ava's opinion on how to come to a peaceful truce with Sonny. She didn't think it was possible because of Sonny's belief that Sidwell was behind the fire at Charlie's. Ava told him, "If Sonny Corinthos perceives you as a threat to his children, there will be no peace. There will be no compromise. There will be no place to hide." Sidwell asked Ava if she believed Sonny was responsible for Marco's recent disappearance, and although his timing was suspect, it was a fight between Lucas and Carly that piqued her interest. Once Ava departed, Britt emerged from another room proclaiming that she thought Ava would never leave. Britt and Sidwell referred to Dalton as problematic, and since he inquired about Faison's network, he was a threat. Sidwell told Britt he didn't take orders from her, but before she could leave, Lucas walked through the entryway, appalled to see her in his new home. Sidwell said he searched for a home doctor, but she was no longer able to practice medicine. Lucas appeared to buy that excuse at first, so he didn't question much before she left. Outside the house, Britt overheard the news that Lucas had agreed to move in with them at Windermere. Jocelyn filled Brennan in about Marco's pitch for Lucas to move in with home, which came as a great relief to Brennan. Jocelyn worried about Lucas's safety by becoming more deeply entrenched in Sidwell's orbit. Jocelyn was afraid that once Lucas entered Sidwell's world, it would be an issue, but Brennan demanded she follow through. However, Brennan threatened Jocelyn with treason if she warned Lucas about Sidwell in any way. If she spoke against the idea of moving in together, he'd have her arrested and extradited. At General Hospital, a mysterious man listened to Felicia's phone call. Felicia dropped a pencil, but the man swiftly brought it back to her, and she realized something was off. She asked him what was going on, and he looked back at her with a look of desperation and despair.